Hey y'all, this is Taylor Sanders, and you're watching Gospel Music Buzz.
And we are back with another episode of The Buzz. I'm your host, Sherwin with Gospel Music Buzz. And y'all, today we are about to make GMB history, y'all. We got our first, and I say this, our first country singer, songwriter, artist on the platform. Taylor Sanders is with us today, y'all. And we're super, super excited. Taylor, welcome to The Buzz. How are you?
Hey y'all, thanks for having me. I am great, and I'm just super excited to be here.
See, even the hey, y'all. I mean, it's just everything just sounds great. I love it. Let's go ahead.
It's genuine too.
I hear it. So Taylor, one thing I would say, the folks, T-Ran, the folks over at Vision, 22 Visions, we love everything that, the guys are doing over there. And once we saw, the new single pretty much making a buzz, is, kind of going around, we had to make sure at least, we tap into what's going on. We wanted to get you on. We wanted to have this conversation just to, learn a bit more about you so our core audience can get to know who Taylor Stander is, understand your story, understand everything. And then, just also too, for my own personal curiosity, just to get to know a little bit more about you. So just tell us, where do you consider home? Like, where is home for Taylor?
I guess I would call Nashville home.
Okay.
Lived in Nashville for since 2011, and but I was born in Eastern Kentucky,
Okay.
in Pikeville, Kentucky, and I mainly grew up in Kingsport, Tennessee. So it's kind of like all on the Kentucky Tennessee line where those two cross and meet. So up in the northeastern parts, and so a lot of my family is from like rural, up the holler Kentucky,
Okay.
and so I think that's where I get a lot of my Southern drawl from. But so I moved to Nashville to pursue music in 2011. So since then, I just feel it's just like a bigger city, but
Yeah.
still my country home.
I love it. I love it. And what's it like growing up, just, from the South, sort of growing up in that setting, what's like a typical, fond moment growing up as as young Taylor, I would say, growing up in the South. What's some of those fond moments you can think of?
Well, at a really early age, I remember, playing out in the front creek and catching crawdads and um, just roaming around. And then my mom and dad quickly got my sister and I into competitive gymnastics. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, and so at an early age, I was in the gym for many hours a day and competing gymnastics, and that's sort of what stemmed into dance as well, and so that part of performance, I incorporate into my stage shows, and so that's a pretty big part of who I am. So I like to stay active, and family is
Yeah.
very important to me. And well, and I recently lost my mom back in January. So, a lot's been going on. I recently had a baby,
Okay.
and
Congratulations.
thank you. He's 6 months old. And so,
Wow.
there's a lot of life change recently. And so that's sort of what's stemmed. I've really pulled like my inspiration and power source from and my faith
Yeah.
and where it kicks sort of into this single that I just released called Other Side. So
Wow. Wow. You said a few different things there that I want to sort of go back to. Definitely from the gymnastics and from the dancing and from all that, which makes perfect sense because when we were looking at these videos are definitely showing that, you got some moves in there in every
yeah.
single one of them. So definitely yours is on point. But while you were talking about, just early childhood days and some of the things that your mom, and your dad and your mom sort of did, just pointing and guiding and navigating, that is now coming full circle. you mentioned her passing. And I'm
Hmm.
sure in the midst of all that, because now you have, you have a newborn and mom passing and all that stuff. Like, how has, your life sort of taken like a moment just to say, hey, I'm gonna process this. I'm gonna sort of, you're doing music, you're doing all of that, but in between, you're still trying to work on dealing with this. Like, how did you approach that?
I got myself into a church group and tried to process my emotions that way.
Yeah.
And just surrounding myself with people that love me,
Yeah.
and giving myself some grace. I had a lot of, obviously hormone changes that,
Yeah.
was toppled on top of grief, and everything came right at all at the same time. And honestly, I wasn't sure, how I was going to continue on with doing music. And even before my mom passed, I wasn't sure how I was going to continue on with doing music with a baby and
Yeah.
all of that. And so um, I just kept telling myself to just take it one day at a time
Mm.
and just see how it goes and continue to be strong. My mom was a very strong woman, and throughout her process of her stem cell transplant, she remained true to her faith, and she's literally the strongest woman that I know, or person that I know. She just fought tooth and nail for her
Yeah.
life, and we had this conversation with her about just being scared. And my sister said, Mama, she had some episodes, and she said, I was so scared that we were going to lose you.
Mm.
And she said, well, why would you be scared when you have Jesus? And
Wow.
so, yeah, throughout that whole process, I really had to look to her strength, because what I was going through, I thought that was crazy. And I thought I was like, I couldn't handle it. And
Mm.
then I just kind of had to put myself in her shoes and think, well, my gosh, if she can continue on
Yeah.
with the type of attitude, then so can I. So she's been a big inspiration. She was pretty much my first momager, and she got me into music. And my parents noticed quickly when I was young, when I was about 5 in kindergarten, that I could sing, and
Yeah. That's
so
good. Yeah.
that's when I started singing. And they gave me all the opportunities in the world. I recorded my first album when I was like 9 years old, and my
Oh,
second
wow.
was 12.
Okay.
Yeah. And so sang with the first band I've ever sang with, when I was I had just turned 10. I told the audience. And so that was at the Kentucky Opry at the Mountain Arts Center in Pikeville. So that's sort of where I got my start. And I grew up singing a lot of country, a lot of Loretta Lynn and Leanne Rhymes, Whitney Houston, and a lot of big voiced artists. And so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
tried to like resemble them and kind of train to their songs. And yeah, so but in middle school I started doing more like pop,
Hmm.
and so that's kind of like how I combine the pop with the country.
And before I move on to the other point, what's mom and dad's name?
My mom is Elizabeth Hamilton. We call her Liz, and the whole family
Liz.
calls her Sissy Liz. And then my dad is Terry Geese.
Got it.
And yeah,
And it's really interesting when when folks sort of go back and you talk about certain things, right? Because parents have a way of seeing things early on. And they're trying to navigate and shift and in the hopes that kids are going to listen and they're going to take it and they're going to go forward with it, but being able to see that that seed that was planted so early on, 9, 10, you're doing all these different things, and I'm sure even before that you're still taking it now well into what you're doing now, because you've been pretty busy this year. I mean, if I'm going back and if I'm looking correctly, there's 3 singles that were released this year. If we're talking about we're talking about the new one, we're gonna get into Other Side. But prior to Other Side, you still had 2 other songs that were released. There's Tennessee Love, and then there's Jolene as well. And when I saw, the Jolene song, and I play. I'm like, okay, let me start with this one, and I'm putting it on. And then when the beat switch happened, I'm like, oh, I see what you did here. So just talk about the inspiration around that, because to take, a big song like that and put your own spin on it and completely owning it and doing what you do with it. So just talk about the inspiration just around deciding even to do that song.
Yeah. So with my team, 22 Visions, with T-Ran Gilbert, we came up with the idea to just um, make it more of a dancey kind of vibe.
Yeah, yeah.
And since that's my background, and
Hmm.
so I like to joke and say that I'm a country twang with beats that bang. So
Oh, wait, wait, say that again. I like that. I like that. I'm gonna
I'm
have to
country
use
twang
that for a
with beats
twig.
that bang. So that
I
was kind
love
of our
it.
inspiration, and
Okay.
just yeah, the just took it from there. I think it just worked out perfectly, and
Yeah.
Dolly likes it.
That's beautiful. A country twang with beats that bang. And that's exactly what that song did. I was like, oh, that's great. I love that. And Tennessee Love, just talk to us about, just the inspiration around Tennessee Love itself. Because I know even in going forward and doing it, you were also able to perform this in a really big stage, the music video as well, one music video of the year. So a whole lot kind of catapulted with this one. So touch a little bit about Tennessee Love.
Yeah. So with Tennessee Love, I actually recorded pretty much the whole album in the studio while I was pregnant. But then with the
Mm.
music video with Tennessee Love, I was 7 months pregnant. And yeah, so it was a long day, and clearly, 7 months, I'm trying to savor my energy, and but it's something that I love to do. And so
Yeah.
when it doesn't really feel like work all the time, so
Hmm.
but the inspiration behind the song is basically, I've wandered to, LA, like the lyrics say, to LA, New York, and to just different places in the country, and trying to find myself and my voice, and where I need to be, and what kind of artist I want to be, and what I want to say, and nowhere kind of feels like home, I guess.
Hmm.
And I feel more like I can be more authentic in my hometown of Tennessee.
Yeah.
And which is in the song where I find my Tennessee love. And so, which is also my son and my husband. And and then basically everything that, the great state of Tennessee has to offer. And so that's what Tennessee love is about.
I love it. And how long you mentioned your son and your husband, how long you guys been married?
We've been married since 2012, so it's been 12 years. That's
Wow,
crazy,
12,
right?
12
And we
years.
just now had a baby. So I was,
Congratulations.
thank you.
12 years.
I waited quite a while to pursue my career, and I wanted to make sure that, I've been given this like my all, my full attention. But I came to realize that, I have my personal goals as well,
Hmm.
rather than, just my career goals that I'm focusing on. And so I've always wanted to start a family, and so I couldn't really put that on the side anymore. I didn't
Of
want
course.
to.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm at a good place in my life where I'm good with my life, just with my husband and my child, and everything else is just a plus, a
No,
blessing.
no, and I think that's important too, to understand that and to set those boundaries and sort of know, as you're navigating, because this way you're also controlling burnout as well too, right? You're not doing everything all at the same time and then run into a situation where you're just burnt out and you don't want to do it anymore. And the very thing you started to love so much, you're kind of veering away. So that's pretty important too. And I want to actually, before we even touch on, the new single now, I want to go back So Firecracker was the one I believe you won Music Video of the Year, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So Firecracker, but even the performance, when you won the award, you mentioned the Grand Ole Osprey, which
Mhm.
I'm sure that was super significant because as you started to speak earlier, you mentioned when you were 9 or 10 and you were performing. Was that the same location you were performing then to come back years later to win an award there, or is that a different location?
That was a different location. Yeah, that
Okay.
one was in Kentucky. Mhm.
Got it, got it. Okay. So even with with Firecracker itself too, right? Because that was one of the ones where you sort of, there was a history making moment there too where you performed it with the Gatlin brothers, right? If I get my facts correctly. So what was that experience like? Knowing, I'm sure you've looked up to them, and everything that they've accomplished all by themselves. And now you go, you're writing a song, the song is doing well, you have this opportunity to perform it and you're performing the song, with them. So what was that experience like?
I mean, I was just excited that they allowed me to come on board and perform at their show,
Yeah.
because they're such amazing songwriters, and I look up to that and hope that I can, stand my ground and make the same impact as what they have. And just meeting them was really cool. I mean, they're super funny and nice, and I was excited for them to see, my art as well,
Yes.
and they seemed to like it, so I was happy with that.
That's amazing. And also to, you mentioned something earlier too when you were just, when you were talking about, some of the things, you mentioned your mom as well too, but from a philanthropic side of things, there's an organization that you're very connected to in terms of, early childhood, I mean, early skin cancer detection and so forth. So just, mention a little bit about, the awareness of, raising awareness within that and sort of how you felt that draw to that organization.
Yeah. So, with the Melanoma Skin Foundation, I was diagnosed with melanoma in 2014,
Wow.
and we caught it early, which is a big key point, to surviving melanoma. And so I like to advocate because of my experience with that.
Hmm. Hmm.
I like to advocate for early prevention and detection of skin cancer. And these particular organizations, they raise money for new studies and to just study new drugs, and those particular medications can also go forth and be used towards other cancers. So it's really, groundbreaking, I feel like, what they do. And I just like to inspire people to, just try and prevent, stay out of the sun and use a sunscreen and, all of the
Yeah.
things, and then do the self skin checks, which is the ABCDEs of skin checks, which would be A, is it asymmetrical? B, um, are the borders irregular? C, are the colors different? D is diameter, how big is it is, and E, is it evolving? And so I just try and, just make awareness for that. And, some people, they've, expressed that they were glad that I, am vocal about it, because they
Yeah.
went to
Yeah.
go
Of
and get
course.
checked and were able to, early diagnose things that could have
Wow.
spread. So, yeah.
See, and that's what I think is important because again, well, that's one of the things like, you're being vocal about that. Sometimes, a lot of times when the folks go through things, they're not necessarily always sharing what's happening, right? When we're seeing someone from the outside, we may see, you know, great vocalist, great writer. We're seeing all these different parts, but the fact that you're being vulnerable and vocal, you're sharing about, a lot of the loss, a lot of the things that you yourself have had to overcome. But even that as well too, because that could have totally gone in a whole different direction. But that's your testimony as well too that you can stand on. That what you're doing and why you're still here, that is still for a reason because it could have gone one way and it completely didn't. So I'm even happy that you're here and you're talking to us in
Thank
spite of
you.
everything else that, you've even done in your life personally. So it's
Yeah, I'm a 10-year
definitely, yeah.
survivor, um
Wow.
and so it's I usually have to go and get my skin checked up pretty regularly.
Yeah.
And so kind of have to have a tough skin because I have to get skin biopsies for several spots here and there just randomly. And
Yeah.
so I'm still making sure that I'm proactive. And yeah, I just want to encourage other people to be proactive. And I mean, there's something to be said about all of the things that we've already talked about of things
Yeah.
that I've overcome. And right now, things that are current is like, okay, I had a baby while my mom passed away, but then sometimes I do forget. I'm like, wow, I am a cancer survivor. And
Hmm.
so I went through a lot of anxiety over that.
Yeah.
And,
Of course.
I had several surgeries and, through a lot of, pains and the um, feeling like I'm not going to fit into the music industry because my arm is now got this huge, scar on it and
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
and how that's going to look. And so, there's a lot of things that went through my head there. But again, every time I go through something really hard, I just try and reach for my faith. And that what they say, sometimes people push God away in
Yeah. In
bad
those
times, and
moments.
some
Yeah.
people get closer. And um, sometimes, I feel like I have like a a back and forth relationship, but in
We
the
all
end,
do.
like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just gotta, yeah, see to the other side.
Yeah, I love what you did there. You talked about the other side, so we can jump and go right into the other side. So, the other side, newest single that is out right now on all platforms, and I'll, as I dive out, into the song, I started playing the song first in my house, and my wife loves country music, and she heard the song and she was like, "Who's that? Who's that? Tell me who that is right now." And I told her who it is. She grabbed it. She went ahead. She purchased it, and she
Oh.
started listening to it. She added to her playlist. She had this playlist whenever we're driving back and forth to church, because where we serve at, it's about maybe 2 hours, hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes drive. So, and whenever she has a song that she loves, she adds it to the playlist. And this Sunday that we just drove down, your song came up on the playlist drive. And I looked at her and I was like, okay, okay. So she started to go through that, and it's just such a powerful song. But more than that, the song came from a place with everything else, just even when you're thinking about other side, you're thinking about, okay, you're on one side and you got to persevere, you got to get through. Those are some interpretation that I pulled from it. But when you were in that situation, when you were in that place or still pushing through in that place, and you wrote this song, yourself with your team, and you go through this, kind of tell us about the song from your lens, from your view, like other side, what was this journey like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the emotion from just feeling like disappointment in your life and
Yeah.
devastation. And I think we all go through some form of that in life.
Hmm.
And it's how you can get back up on your feet when you're knocked down and try and see the other side and not hang too long into the darkness. Because of course, in grief and things like that, you gotta grieve, and that's natural, a natural emotion. But at the same time, um, I only try and allow myself to stay there for just a little bit and cry it out or whatever, and try and look at the positive, because life goes on. And we do you want to live it in a negative space and in despair all the time, or do you want to have hope?
Yeah.
I think the hope is, what I'm reaching for, and hope on a day-to-day basis, really. And in the meantimes of how you're going to do it, I just got to pray to God and like, how am I going to get this? Because I'll worry myself to death on, well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to
Yeah.
do that? I don't know how I'm going to get there. Just
Mhm.
one step in front of the other. And that's literally what I've had to do. And also just believing in myself and my dreams as well. Um,
Important. Yeah.
a lot of times, you know, us artists, we're relying on others to, validate, our art or whatever it
Hmm.
may be. And you're kind of looking to see, oh, did people like this? Do they like me? Am I ever good enough? And that sometimes that feeling of never feeling like you're enough can be very depressing. And so I think the second verse is where that stems from. And, just looking up and remembering who you are and what
Yeah.
your purpose is, just trying figuring out your purpose and why I decided to go on this journey to begin with, why I love it. Um and doing that and talking with God helps me to like regain my strength and my courage to continue on uh trying to live my dream.
Wow. It's and you can hear it in your voice. You can hear it as you're speaking and you're pausing to process and you're speaking again. Like it can tell, some of the same things that you're speaking about that you're going through as an artist, as a mother, as a survivor, as someone that's processing grief. And grief comes at you from all different way and all different form. Like for me, I lost my dad now almost 20 years. And I was in a car just like a few nights ago with my wife. And as we're there in the car, we're gonna go pick up our son. And she asked something, and as I'm telling a story about my dad, I just started crying. And I'm like, I
Mhm.
stopped and looked at her. I'm like, why am I crying? Why is it I can't just get a full story out about him? So these things comes at you in different way and form. Well, like you said, it's just, the perseverance is just the moving forward, the going forward, that other side that you so eloquently sang about. And the lyrics itself, it kind of it pulls you in. It's like you understand where you're starting, but then where it continue to go from there. And it's so, so powerful. Even the video as well. There's so much hope. There's dancing. There's everything that's in there.
Yeah,
With,
we had to get the
with
choir in there.
I exactly. And choirs is so uplifting. I mean, I
Yeah.
love a good, a good choir blended into regular music, and just to kind of even seeing that aspect of it with country music, with the song that you're doing was just, was such, such a powerful add to it as well. But I think that the whole process of, and the song is clearly doing well, because before you guys have officially released it, it was picked up. I noticed it was picked up by People Magazine. The
Mhm.
video itself was officially released through their platform, which now has over 100,000 views on the video. I mean, first of all, you're not really hearing about that in, in pre-release or even post-release in such a short span of time. So
Yeah.
congratulations to you, your team. The dedication and the work that you guys have put in, but also to more than that, because you can put in a lot of time and dedication, and it may not always resonate, but it's just the honest place where it's coming from. And I think
Yeah.
that's what drew me to you as an artist, to your music and so forth. It's just seeing that honest transparency, and it's refreshing. Not refreshing of the fact of all the things that you've gone through, but it's just the fact that you're willing to share it and you're willing to show folks like, hey, even though all this is happening, I'm still trusting on my faith. I'm still believing and I'm still moving forward. And I'm still going forward beyond that. So kind of, being in the place where you are right now, the new single is out. You've been super busy this year. A whole lot is happening, new mom. And, there's talks about this, rumors about this album, that may be coming at some point this year. So how is that process coming along?
I think we're just kind of hoping to get a few singles out and then
Yeah,
um deciding whether or not we want to put all of them out
got it.
now at the same time, or if we just kind of want to keep releasing them as, one after another.
Yeah,
But all of it's going to come out, and there's a whole, um, you know, there's a good amount of songs that have definite, I guess, depth
yeah,
and
yeah.
variance in what is Taylor Sanders. We have our inspirational that we just did with Other Side.
Hmm.
And, we've got our firecracker, which is like the spicy,
Yes, yes.
Dancy Me. And we've got, the lovely Tennessee Southern Charm, Tennessee Love.
Hmm.
And then we've got, we've definitely got another inspirational. And which is, oh, I'm so excited about that one. But we've got some other dancey stuff too, and some love songs and songs about saying goodbye to the past and
Perfect.
continuing on
Yeah,
forward is sort of the a theme, I guess, of mine, and just persevering, I guess, is
yeah,
kind of and working hard and pushing forward is definitely, I guess, a theme that I like to talk about. And my team, 22 Visions, they're always, we are very close, and we
that's
always pray
important. Yeah,
before we do anything. I mean, before we have a meeting, before we record, before we,
love,
like
I love
just
that.
for no reason, we just we pray about everything, and
That's
we talk
important.
about
Yeah,
how, if going forward, we've got to make sure that, God is first, and that's how we're going to continue
100%.
to keep doing this. And God keeps blessing us, and 22 Visions, they keep me moving forward too, because sometimes I get my own way,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like you said before, how with everything that happened, like how did we continue on, doing music? And really, they helped me decide to continue on, because I was like, I don't know, maybe I should take a break.
yeah.
And it's like, you know what? I've been working on this whole album this last year. I'm getting this thing out. So, you're like, yes, let's go. Um, so that's kind
That's
of, what our attitude has been. And then of course, like with the same theme of Other Side is just looking, like we talked with Hope, um, just knowing that I will see my mom on the other side.
right.
That gives me hope and reassurance whenever I get to feeling low. And like you mentioned, talking about your dad, I do the same exact thing, and it's at random times. Um,
Hmm.
and you just can't help it. I think it's natural, but the thing that calms me down is knowing that I will see her on the other side. So yeah, it's pretty. I think the message is pretty dear to me, and I'm so glad that she was able to actually I let her listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right before she passed, and
Wow.
yeah, and she had listened to like the demo, I think, months before that, and liked it a lot. And I was able to, sing her into heaven. And
Wow.
so, yeah.
That's see, that's a blessing in it of itself, just to be able to even, be there and know and see her fate towards that point, but also even use that to build your own faith. And you mentioned about
Mhm.
your team earlier. We're talking about, about T-Ran and, members of a team and just praying, quick story behind that is that that's the same thing I've witnessed even on my end with with my connection as well too. Anytime we were on the phone, we were praying, and it was just recently, and I was sharing this with him. He didn't know in the moment, but my son was basically, he was coming to pick up. He was doing like a pickup, and we're there, and we're talking on the phone. And as we were getting ready to wrap up from the phone, and he's like, hey, let's make sure we pray before we wrap up. And we were praying, and as we were praying, basically a car, as he's slowing down, a car came in and hit us from behind. And as
Oh,
this car hit us from behind, and my we didn't even know where the car came out from, but it was a situation whereby I'm like, this thing could have gone, yeah, sure, the car got messed up a bit. We got to get it fixed, but this could have gone completely different. Like in that moment, he felt obedient to say, hey, let's pray, not knowing what you were praying against, not knowing, he's praying a protection over you, your family, all of this stuff in that very moment when you needed it. So definitely, the team you're connected to, what you guys are doing is not just by hope or chance. Like the music, the prayers that's getting out there, you guys are literally changing life. You're course correcting things, you're counteracting attacks. Like what you guys are doing is powerful work. So definitely, be encouraged and continue to do what you're doing because it's definitely, it's not for the faint of the heart, not for the
Yeah.
faint of heart, but what you're doing right now and whom, the team you guys are connected to and what you're doing is powerful stuff. And I'm happy just, you carving out time to, to speak with us, to let us know, what's happening, what's coming, celebrating every step of the journey, what's happening right now. Again, like I mentioned before, for everyone else that's going to be looking at this, other side is available on all platforms. Check out the video. There's also a Tennessee Love mentioned from earlier. Go back and listen to Firecracker, listen to Jolie, and you're sure gonna love the twist of that. Like I said, it's just so much happening, guys. You need to go back, tap into everything that's happening with Taylor Sanders. Taylor, before we go, give us a word of encouragement for, I know a lot of that folks are getting through your music, but for someone right now that may be feeling a little bit stuck, in whatever it is that they may be going through, they may feel a bit stuck, not really sure how to forward. And you've dealt with a lot of stuff and you've, continued to move forward. Share a little bit of, a word of encouragement for that individual right now.
Yeah. Something that is always in the back of my mind is, I mean, it's kind of cliche, I think, and a lot of people probably know this saying, but um, to me, like I feel like I've always had a fear of failure, and um, I think I have to look at it in a certain way, like, well, things are too hard and I just want to give up. And it would just be so much easier, like this emotional roller coaster just wouldn't be there. And, I could just do this or do that and just be, not have to, worry about striving for anything. But like, then I'm like, but if I do, I don't know. Then you just never get to where you want to go. I don't feel like I would be happy. I wouldn't feel productive and I wouldn't
Yeah.
feel like me. Um, and I almost feel like that part of me would die, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm just so passionate in what I do. And so you'll never get there if you quit. So don't quit. You gotta just keep, you can't worry about the how. And that's a
Yeah.
lot of times what I do. But you just gotta put, like, again, one foot in front of the other. Um, pray about it. Um, I didn't know how I was gonna go on to do the Firecracker music video because I don't think I mentioned this before, but I was going through a miscarriage. I found out
Oh,
that
wow.
yeah, I found out that my um, that they lost the heartbeat the day
Oh,
before we shot the music video.
my
And
goodness. Wow.
yeah, and honestly, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna, maybe we should just cancel everything.
Yeah.
And at that point, I hadn't had the physical symptoms. So I was like, if mentally I can get through this, I need to be tough mentally. Um, and so physically I was not going through everything. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna, cry tonight, cry in the morning. Once I get my makeup on, I am just going for it.
Wow.
This is my purpose. This is what I came here to
Yeah.
do. And if God willing, I'm gonna get through this day. and um and we did a 16-hour shoot and
Mm,
cry once that whole day, and I still don't know how I did it, but I know I prayed a lot. Um, and so I think just the moral of that story is don't quit.
wow, man.
There's always the other side.
Wow. You man, I mean, listening to you, talk and share everything that you shared here today is like it's almost like I'm reading the story of Job all over again. It's like,
I,
man, wow.
I
God,
definitely wonder why a lot.
and God truly has his hands over your life and with everything else that is happening in and around. And with the new with your new baby right now, with everything that's happening, I'm sure it's even, one of those moments of, that you're even more excited and more, just, thankful for this new season in your life and everything else that's happening. So I even pray that God continue, to cover you and your family during this time and continue just to, make things, a bit easier this time as opposed to
I hope
everything
so
else
too.
as you as you
But you know what? This
provision.
season, it's shown me what I'm capable
Yeah,
of, how
yeah,
strong
of
I am.
course.
So, yeah.
Indeed, for sure. Listen, I'm gonna have you give us your socials, but I want to just say again, Taylor Sanders, everyone. I need you guys to go out. I need you to look her up on all the platforms. She's gonna give you her socials and everything. But go check out her music. Go support her. Go check her out. Go download her music first, then you can stream it afterwards, and then you can send it to like 10 of your friends. But
Yeah.
you want to make sure, you stay tapped in. There's a whole lot that's happening. It's a whole lot of things that's out in this world. Like I want to make you stop and want to make you quit. But this is just real powerful, inspiring music, and it's just gonna keep you in those moments when you need it most. Taylor, give us your socials.
Yeah, y'all can find me at Taylor Sanders World on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. So all the good things. And like you said, the streaming platforms, just look up Taylor Sanders, and I'll be the strawberry redhead girl with probably a lot of rhinestones on.
Oh, and I have to say that before we go, that background right there, man, you got all the guitars, you got that beautiful piano
Thank
there,
you.
the next time once the other project drop and you bring us back home, we're gonna need like a little mini live GMB show, all right? I'm gonna need you to at least play something. I'm gonna need you to get behind that, but I'm gonna let you chill today. Today was a good
Okay.
conversation, but definitely the next time I'm gonna have you, zoom out from the camera and give us something.
All right, cool. Sounds like a plan.
Taylor, thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
coming
much.
on, for sharing with us, with our community, just tapping in with us again. I'm Sherwin. I'm your host with the Buzz, y'all. Make sure you go out and check out Taylor on all platforms. Thanks again, Taylor.
Thank
And
you.
I'm gonna hit stop.